You spend less than an hour a day chewing. A chimpanzee your size spends about 6. That gap is a fact about fire. At least 1 million years ago, and possibly twice that, somebody held food over a flame, and cooked food gives up so much more energy for so much less effort that the human body quietly stopped building the equipment to handle the raw version. The jaw got smaller, the gut got smaller, and the savings went somewhere expensive. So let's take the fire back. Every flame, everywhere, permanently. What if I told you the first thing you lose has nothing to do with warmth, and that this ends with a perfectly cheerful man sitting up a tree at dusk, chewing, with another 6 hours of it booked for tomorrow? The first evening is a disappointment. Dinner is cold. That is the whole change. Nobody starves, nobody weakens, and the missing fire registers as an inconvenience rather than an emergency. Somebody makes a joke about it. Somebody else tries a raw potato and quietly gives up. Down the road, a man discovers that raw meat is chewy in the way raw meat has always been chewy, and gets through about 1/3 of what he sat down to eat before his jaw asks him to stop. The damage is in the arithmetic, and the arithmetic takes about a week to arrive. Cooking works by making the calories already inside your food cheap to collect. Heat does the first half of the job your body would otherwise have to do itself, using time and effort it does not have going spare. Raw, the same meal, costs you more and hands you less. Richard Wrangham spent a career on this and worked out what a body the size of an early human would need to run on raw plants alone. It comes to somewhere around 5.5 kilograms a day. Picture a wheelbarrow of salad per person every morning for the rest of your life. The check on all of this is uncomfortably simple. Anthropologists went looking for one human group anywhere on Earth living entirely on uncooked food, and there is not one on any continent. Even in modern cities with a supermarket down the road, a large share of women on strict raw diets stop menstruating because the body reads what is coming in and decides there is not enough here to risk a pregnancy. So the chewing starts. Your jaw goes from under an hour of work a day to 5 or 6, which is what every other great ape has always done. 6 hours is a full shift, and it comes out of the day you already had. The hours it takes are the good ones. Try holding a conversation with your family while all of you, including you, grind through a wheelbarrow of raw roots. Teaching happens with your mouth free. So does arguing, singing, planning tomorrow, and telling somebody they are wrong about something. All of it was living in the hours that fire bought, and the bill has just been reclaimed. Children have it worse than you do. A small jaw with small muscles cannot get through a wheelbarrow of anything, so a child stays on milk for years longer than a modern child does. And a mother feeding one for years is a mother who is not starting another. Give it a few thousand generations and the body starts rebuilding for the job it has been handed. Chewing hard food from childhood grows a heavier jaw and thick muscle across the temples, which is where the reversal does something nobody asked for. Your teeth start fitting. The modern human mouth is famously too small for its own contents. Wisdom teeth turn up and find the room already occupied. Front teeth grow crooked and get pushed back into line with wire. Hand the jaw its old workload and the crowding unwinds, generation by generation, until an entire industry has nothing left to straighten. The gut follows the jaw. Raw food needs a bigger factory, and the factory has to go somewhere. The belly expands, the rib cage flares outward to cover it, and the waist that humans are so attached to stops being a feature anybody has. Look at a gorilla from the side. That silhouette is what a life of raw food looks like from the outside, and it is coming for everyone. Your teeth also start wearing out on a schedule. Roots come out of the ground with grit still on them, and grit is sandpaper. Skulls from before farming routinely turn up with the molars ground flat by middle age, which was survivable because middle age was usually the end of the story anyway. Now you get 80 years of life and about 30 years of teeth. There is a second thing fire was doing. It let you sleep on the floor. Every other great ape builds a fresh nest in a tree every single night, and does it because the ground after dark belongs to animals with much better night vision than yours. A lion will think twice about walking into a ring of flame for a meal that might fight back. Put the flame out, and the ground goes back to being what it always was, so the whole species climbs. A night in a tree is a poor night's sleep. You stay half upright, you hold on, and the deep kind of sleep where your muscles switch off completely belongs to an animal that has stopped worrying about falling. The tour has now taken the evening. It is about to take the night as well. Which brings us to the thing all of this was paying for. Your brain is about 2% of your body and takes about a fifth of your energy. It is the most costly object you own, and it has been running this whole time on savings from a kitchen. Take the kitchen away and the budget stops closing. Over generations, a brain that cannot be afforded is a brain that gets smaller, and it goes quietly, because no one in any single generation notices a thing. Everybody feels normal. Normal is just moving. And somewhere around here you notice we have been watching the wrong thing. Fire cooked, and it also invented a time of day. Before it, dark meant over. You sat still, you kept quiet, and you waited for the sun to come back. Fire took that dead stretch and turned it into a room, warm, lit, safe enough to sit in, with nothing that needs doing and everybody present. Polly Wiesner recorded what people actually say to each other in one of the last groups living close to that life, in the Kalahari. Daytime talk is complaints, arguments, and who owes what to whom. After dark, around the fire, more than 80% of it turns into stories. The daylight hours run the camp. The firelight hours build everything the camp believes. So the reversal takes the evening, and the evening was carrying the cargo. A story is how somebody who died 40 years ago keeps giving you advice. It is how the route to good water outlives the man who found it, how a rule about who may marry whom stops needing to be argued from scratch every time, and how a child who has never seen a lion already knows exactly what a lion does. Without the fire, all of that has to fit inside one lifetime and be worked out again by the next person. Knowledge stops piling up and starts evaporating at roughly the rate it arrives. The first things to go are the ones that took longer than one life to learn. Which plant is food in a bad year, and which one only looks like it? The name of the man who found the good valley, and then the valley. How to pull fire out of 2 dry sticks, which is a trick nobody works out alone, and which by now has stopped mattering to anybody. You can see what that world looks like, because it already happened. For something close to 1,000,000 years, our ancestors made one stone hand axe in one shape and never improved it. The same object, generation after generation, across continents, while nobody sat up after dark and wondered whether it could be better. Now, a warning. Past this line, we are guessing. Wrangham thinks cooking started nearly 2 million years ago, because that is when the body starts changing shape. The oldest fires anybody can actually dig up are about half that age, which leaves a gap of 1,000,000 years where either the whole idea is wrong, or people were cooking every night and the ash simply blew away. Nobody knows what the first cooked thing was. Nobody knows whether the person holding it understood what he was doing, or was just curious about a bit of meat that had fallen in. But if any of this is right, then the line between us and everything else was never the brain or the hand, it was the fire. And the first human being was whoever first sat down and waited for dinner to be ready. One last thing, and it has nothing to do with dinner. Run the tape the right way round, and this same process is already sitting on your face. Your jaw shrank. The number of teeth heading into it stayed exactly where it was. That is the whole explanation for wisdom teeth, and for the wire that half the people watching this wore for 2 years as a teenager. Every other animal on this planet finishes its own digestion. About 1,000,000 years ago, ours stopped bothering because it found something outside itself that would do the first half of the work. Part of your digestion does not happen inside your body. It happens in a fire, and in 1,000,000 years nobody has been allowed to let it go out.